Rain poured down relentlessly as Claire, a DoorDash driver, scanned through the orders on her DoorDash app. Her eyes widened as she came across an unusual request, a delivery to a remote and unfamiliar part of town. A hint of unease crept over her, but the allure of a potentially generous tip compelled her to accept the order. As she embarked on the drive, Claire couldn't shake off the feeling of unease settling in the pit of her stomach. The rain-slicked streets and dimly lit surroundings intensified her apprehension. Questions swirled in her mind about the peculiar location and the person who had requested the delivery. Finally, she arrived at the address. Her eyes fell upon the building, a worn-down structure that exuded an air of mystery. Broken windows and faded paint added to its neglected appearance. Claire's heart skipped a beat as she realized the nature of her destination. Her hand trembled slightly as she dialed the customer's number, seeking reassurance. The voice on the other end sounded friendly, albeit with a hint of urgency. "Hey, it's John. I'm really hungry, and I'm waiting for the food. Come inside, head down the hallway to the last room. I'll be there." Claire's nerves were still on edge, but the innocent tone in John's voice eased her concerns. She mustered her courage, determined to complete her delivery and earn her paycheck. Stepping out of her car, Claire faced the rain-soaked surroundings. The droplets mingled with her nervous sweat as she approached the entrance of the building. She hesitated for a moment, her hands trembling as she reached for the door handle. With a deep breath, she pushed it open, revealing a dimly lit corridor stretching before her. The flicking fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting eerie shadows along the worn-out walls. Claire's senses were on high alert as she ventured deeper into the hallway. Her footsteps echoed in the empty space. Doubt and caution tugged at her, but she pushed forward, following the instructions John had given her. As she made her way down the corridor, a figure emerged from the shadows. He seemed unassuming at first, dressed casually with a disarming smile on his face. Claire's instincts sent a jolt of alarm through her, recognizing something was off about his presence. "Hey, you must be Claire," he said, his voice friendly but tinged with an unsettling undercurrent. "The food smells amazing. I'm John. You can just head into the last room there. I'll meet you there." The encounter sent a shiver down Claire's spine. Something about the situation felt wrong. Her instincts told her to turn back. Ignoring the man's words, she mustered the courage and replied, "I'm sorry, but I think I left something in my car. I'll be right back." With a mixture of fear and determination, Claire turned on her heels and sprinted down the hallway. Panic propelled her forward as adrenaline surged through her veins. She didn't dare glance back, fearing the man's pursuit. Fear gripped her as she sprinted towards the car, the sound of her own footsteps drowned out by the relentless drumming rain. As Claire reached the car, she fumbled with the keys, her hands trembling with adrenaline. An eerie feeling of being watched intensified, causing her to glance back over her shoulder. Her breath caught in her throat as she saw John emerging from the building, his friendly smile replaced by a sinister grin. With a surge of panic, Claire managed to unlock her car door and jump inside, just as John's footsteps closed in. She slammed the door shut and frantically jammed the key into the ignition. The engine roared to life, but before she could pull away, John lunged at the window, his fingers scraping against the glass. Terrified, Claire hit the accelerator. The tires screeched as she peeled away from the building, her heart pounding in her chest as she navigated the rain-soaked streets, desperate to put as much distance between her and her pursuer as possible. Glancing in the rearview mirror, she saw John's figure receding into the distance, but she couldn't shake out the feeling that he would stop at nothing to catch her. The relentless rain made visibility difficult, but Claire pushed herself to keep driving, to keep escaping. Her mind raced with possibilities of what John might have intended for her, propelling her to search for a safe haven, a place where she could find help. With a stroke of luck, Claire spotted a neon glow of a late-night gas station up ahead. She pulled into the station, her hands shaking as she parked the car. Breathless and drenched, she burst through the doors, seeking refuge and assistance from the store's patrons. The station's attendant, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, took one look at Claire's terrified state and immediately called the police. Claire huddled in a corner, her heart still pounding with fear as she awaited the arrival of the authorities. Hours passed as the police questioned Claire, taking her statement and reassuring her that they would do everything in their power to find John. The realization that she had narrowly escaped a dangerous situation settled in, leaving her shaken but relieved. From that day forward, Claire's perspective on her deliveries changed. The memory of that frightening encounter with John would serve forever as a haunting reminder to trust her instincts, to prioritize her safety above all else. The world was full of shadows, but Claire vowed to stay vigilant, to never underestimate the potential dangers that could lurk beneath the guise of a simple food delivery. It was a chilly moonlit night, as Ethan, a DoorDash delivery driver, cruised through the quiet suburban streets. He had been delivering meals for months, but tonight felt different. A strange sense of unease lingered in the air, causing his skin to prickle with anticipation. Ethan parked his car in front of a cozy house nestled at the end of a long, dimly lit driveway. The instructions on the app indicated that the customer preferred a contactless delivery, leaving him with no choice but to drop off the meal on the porch. He picked up the neatly packaged bag of food, his breath forming a cloud of crisp night air. As he approached the house, Ethan noticed an eerie silence surrounding him. The only sound was the faint rustling of leaves, as if nature itself held its breath. He carefully placed the bag on the porch and took a quiet snapshot to confirm the delivery, but just as he turned to leave, a flicker of movement caught his eye on the corner of the porch. Ethan froze, his heart pounding in his chest. A shiver ran down his spine as he turned his gaze towards a shadowy figure standing on the edge of the porch, partially concealed by the darkness. The figure seemed unnaturally still, like a statue waiting to come to life. His instincts screamed at him to run. Taking a deep breath, Ethan mustered his courage and approached the figure cautiously. As he drew closer, he could make out the silhouette of a person, clad in a tattered cloak that billowed in the wind. The figure's face was obscured by a wide-brimmed hat, casting a sinister shadow. With a trembling voice, Ethan asked, "Are you the customer?" The figure remained silent, unnerving Ethan even further. Suddenly, the wind picked up, causing the trees to sway and whisper secrets in his ears. A chill ran down his spine as he realized the figure had not moved an inch since he got there. With fear coursing through his veins, Ethan turned to leave, but before he could take a step, the figure lunged forward with inhuman speed. Ethan stumbled backwards, his heart pounding in his chest. He raced towards his car, fumbling for his keys, his mind consumed by primal instinct. As he reached his car, a bone-chilling scream pierced the air. It was a wail of pure agony echoing through the neighborhood. The hairs on Ethan's neck stood on end as he dared to glance over his shoulder. The figure was now standing at the edge of the driveway, illuminated by the glow of a street lamp. Its face, once hidden, was a grotesque mask of twisted features and malevolence. Its eyes burned with an unholy fire, fixated on Ethan with a hunger that sent shivers down his spine. Summoning every ounce of strength that he had, Ethan thrust his keys into the ignition and slammed his foot on the gas pedal. The car roared to life, tires screeching as he sped away, leaving the nightmare behind. As he drove, the events replayed in his mind like a haunted melody. Who was that figure? What horrors awaited him if he had stayed a moment longer? The questions tormented him, a reminder of the night he barely escaped a fate too terrible to comprehend. From that day forward, Ethan quit his job as a delivery driver, forever haunted by the memory of that night. And though he never discovered the truth behind that chilling encounter, he remained eternally grateful that he escaped the clutches of a darkness he could never fully understand. Emily was a hardworking professional who often relied on food services like DoorDash to enjoy a delicious meal after a long day at work. One fateful evening, Emily decided to order her favorite Chinese takeout from a local restaurant. As she anxiously awaited her food, the doorbell rang. Emily's heart raced with anticipation as she glanced at her phone, which displayed a notification indicating that a delivery had arrived. The message simply read, "Jacob has arrived." Without wasting a moment, she hurried toward the front door. Opening it, Emily came face to face with a man standing on her front porch. His disheveled appearance, piercing eyes, and eerie smile sent shivers down her spine. She felt a wave of unease wash over her, but she tried to dismiss it as mere paranoia. He handed her the food, his voice dripping with an unsettling tone as he said, "Enjoy your meal." Emily closed the door. The encounter lingered on her mind. Something about the man's presence made her skin crawl. However, she brushed off the uneasiness and proceeded to enjoy her meal. But, Later that night, as Emily lay in bed, she was awakened by a scratching sound. It started as a faint noise, barely audible, but it grew louder and more persistent. Fear clenched her heart as she sat up, her senses on high alert. The scratching continued, echoing through the house, intensifying her anxiety. Emily's mind raced with possibilities, her pulse quickening. She knew she couldn't ignore it any longer. Something was terribly wrong. In a moment of desperation, Emily reached for her phone and dialed 911. She whispered to the operator, her voice trembling with fear as she described the eerie encounter she had had with the delivery driver named Jacob. The operator assured her that help was on the way, urging her to stay on the line until the authorities arrived. With the phone pressed to her ear, Emily tiptoed towards the bedroom door, her heart pounding in her chest. The scratching sound grew louder, reverberating through the house. A cold shiver ran down her spine as she approached the door, knowing that Jacob was just on the other side. In a hushed voice, barely audible even to herself, Emily whispered, "Why are you doing this?" The house fell silent, as if holding its breath. Then, from the other side of the door, a chilling reply came in a menacing whisper. "I just wanted to be close to you, Emily." Her blood turned to ice as she recoiled in terror. At that moment, she knew she had to escape. The presence of the intruder was too close for comfort. With her heart racing, she sprinted back towards her bed, fueled by sheer determination to survive. Without hesitation, Emily rushed to the window, her hands shaking as she flung it open. The cool night air rushed in, and she glanced back at her bedroom door, fear coursing through her veins. She knew she had no other choice. Summoning every ounce of courage, she leapt out the window, her body twisting in midair. She landed on the grass below, pain shooting through her legs, but she pushed through it, driven by the desperate need to escape. As she limped away from her house, Emily dared not to look back, knowing the terrifying presence of Jacob still lurked within. In the distance, the sound of sirens wailed, growing closer with each passing second. Help was on its way, and Emily found solace in that thought. The authorities apprehended Jacob, the sinister delivery driver, thanks to Emily's courageous call to 911. Days turned into weeks as Emily slowly recovered from the harrowing ordeal. The memories haunted her, but she refused to let fear consume her. With the support of loved ones and the passage of time, she regained her strength and found peace within herself. Jacob was brought to justice, ensuring that he would never harm anyone else again. Emily's story served as a cautionary tale, a reminder to trust her instincts and stay vigilant, even in seemingly ordinary situations. In the aftermath, Emily took the necessary steps to ensure her safety. She strengthened her home security, joined self-defense classes, and became an advocate for personal safety awareness. She shared her story, hoping to empower others to be proactive in protecting themselves. But she'll always live with that haunting memory of that fateful encounter.